Did you know that two of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr, argued with each other almost until the end of their lives? And they didn't argue about formulas, not about experiments, and not even about specific mistakes in theory. Hi, I'm Firuza, and you are watching the channel Bold Science with Firuza. Einstein and Bohr were arguing about something far stranger and much deeper. Does physical reality exist on its own, or does it come into being only at the moment of observation? Do particles have properties before they are measured, or does nature at the most fundamental level refuse to be definite at all? This debate split physics for decades. It ended with no clear winner. And more surprisingly, scientists still live inside this debate today, often without realizing it. Today, you will learn why Einstein rebelled against quantum mechanics, why Bohr believed there was nowhere further to go, and how their intellectual duel forever changed our understanding of reality. This was not just a scientific disagreement. It was a duel over the right to define what reality is. In October 1927 in Paris, a group of people gathered in one hall who knew more about nature than all of humanity before them. And it was there, at the Fifth Hallway Conference, that two worldviews collided, those of Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr. This was not a dispute about equations. It was a dispute about whether the world exists in itself or only at the moment of measurement. The debate between Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr is not merely a conflict between two geniuses. It is a clash between two fundamentally different ways of thinking about the world. Autumn 1927, Paris. The Fifth Hallway Conference is underway, a close meeting of the most powerful physicists of the planet. In one room, people had gathered who were quite literally rewriting the laws of nature. By that time, quantum mechanics looked almost complete. The equations worked. Experiments confirmed them. Calculations matched reality. To many, it seemed that the foundation of physics had been found. Period. That was precisely why everyone was waiting for Einstein. It is important to dismantle a myth right away. Einstein wasn't an enemy of quantum mechanics. On the contrary, he stood at its very origins. It was Einstein who supported Max Planck's idea of energy quanta, introduced the concept of the photon, was among the first to believe in Bohr's atomic model, took de Broglie's hypothesis of matter waves seriously. In fact, without Einstein, early quantum mechanics might not have existed at all. That is why physicists expected something simple from him. Yes, everything is correct. We're done. But the opposite happened. An unexpected turn. Instead of offering support, Einstein began to ask uncomfortable questions. Very uncomfortable ones. He didn't deny the experiments. He didn't argue with calculations. He didn't claim that quantum mechanics doesn't work. He questioned something else. Can this theory really be considered final? And that was a shock, because at that moment, most of his colleagues believed. There is nowhere further to go. There is how the world is. Let's try to understand what exactly troubled Einstein. Imagine the following situation. In everyday life, any object has properties: positron, velocity, mass. They exist regardless of whether we're observing them or not. Quantum mechanics proposed something radically different. At the fundamental level, some properties simply don't have definite values until we measure them. Not we don't know them, but rather they don't exist yet. For many physicists, this was a revelation. For Einstein, it was a warning sign. Einstein believed throughout his life in one simple idea: the world exists objectively. Yes, it may be complex. Yes, there may be things we don't yet understand. But behind observable effects, there must be a deeper reality. He believes that quantum mechanics was a step forward but not the final step. That it describes phenomena but doesn't explain what is happening in reality. And when, at the conference, the idea was voiced that there is nothing behind the uncertainty principle, this is the ultimate reality, Einstein realized he couldn't accept it. From that moment on, a clash was only a matter of time. On one side were physicists who argued that there is no need to look for hidden mechanisms. Questions like what reality exists are meaningless. The theory is complete. On the other side was Einstein, who believed that abandoning the search for deeper reality is a form of surrender. Physics must explain the world, not merely predict outcomes. We simply have not yet reached a more subtle level of description. Einstein didn't offer a ready-made solution. He demanded that the search continue. At the Fifth Solvay Conference, there were not yet any famous paradoxes. There were no legendary thought experiments. There was no open intellectual duel. But something more important happened there. Physics split along a philosophical fault line, and that fault line still exists today. Because the question Einstein asked was frighteningly simple: does physics describe reality or not? In the next videos, we will try to find the answer. You were watching Bold Science with Firza. Subscribe, hit like, and see you in the next topics.